So yesterday I was talking about mysticism. When we look at the saints, we discover in their writings this desire to put into words what is essentially beyond the ability to put into words. This ineffable, transcendent mystery of God. Whenever St. John Paul II prayed, you got the sense that he had entered into another dimension, that he was beyond time and space, that he had entered the vast, beautiful world of the resurrection of Christ. And that's really what mysticism is that God leads us into an experience that is really a foretaste of the kingdom of heaven. Part of that process of conversion is the death of what many of the church fathers would say is the false self and the resurrection of the true, authentic self. So if you're like me, there's this inner voice that's always judging, always controlling, always wanting to be in charge, making plans, making decisions, having opinions. There's this loud, bossy voice in me that wants to be the center of everything. And yet, when I surrender myself to prayer, that voice gets quieter and sometimes even goes away completely. And what we discover is that this false self that wants to have control must surrender to the true self that is a beloved child of God. And so that's the movement from sin to grace, the movement from an essential self-centeredness to a God-centeredness. So the spiritual process is really an emptying out. God emptying us out of everything that is not of Him so that we can simply be filled with His silence, His grace, and His light. That's a painful process because the false self fights it every step of the way. But the more I pray, the more I discover that I live in greater harmony with God, that I find a peace, a quiet, a relationship that this world cannot give and that is not self-generated. So in one sense, the mystical life is a call to simply sit still and allow God to love us. It's not so much what we're doing, but as what we're surrendering so that God can speak to our heart. So allow yourself to be absorbed in prayer on a daily basis, because that's really the heart of the Christian path. Because in prayer, we're called to live radically in the present moment, to experience the immediacy of God. And once in a while, I get a rare glimpse of that true self, the self that I'm called to be in Christ. It appears like this little shy deer that once in a while emerges in the woods. Those are glimpses of the transcendent and of the divine. And if we're serious about our prayer life, God will lead us by that mystical path into union with Himself.